there was always something that appealed to me about the Gorgons. I'm not sure if it was the coffee grinder sound or the overall aggressive look, but we have 3 members in the family. The standard version, which is a solid skip, the Prisma, which is a critical weapon, and the Wraith, which is mostly a status weapon. And today we're going to be diving deeper into this mastery rank 7 primary weapon, the Wraith Gorgon. I'm going to be covering a cheap build, something affordable that anybody can build, but of course we also have the classic endgame setup with a Riven. That being said though, please keep in mind that my builds and guides follow a new player friendly approach, simply because there's a lot of info here and I want anybody watching to understand how the weapon functions and how it should be built. So if you're a veteran of the game and already know most of this stuff, please bear with me. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Gorgon Wraith. Let's begin by having a look at how the weapon behaves without any mods equipped, and for that I'm simply gonna be taking a couple of free shots. The Gorgon Wraith is an automatic rifle, and as you can see the recoil is a little bit jumpy here and there, but at full fire rate it does stabilize. It doesn't start off at full fire rate, however. As you can see, it kinda starts off a little bit slow, and you have 90 bullets in a clip. That's, well, pretty much it. Let's jump into stats to see precisely what we're dealing with. First of all, mod capacity is gonna be 60 out of 60, and if your Gorgon Wraith has only 30 out of 30, jump into actions and install the Auto King Catalyst. This one can be found from alerts, invasions, or from the daily sortie, and you can also pay 20 plat to have one installed. Keep in mind that you get the Gorgon Wraith from the Razorback Armada event, or you can simply buy it from the trade chat, but you will need at least mastery rank 7 in order to acquire the blueprint. Next, my weapon has been formatted a total of 5 times, but this was done only for the purpose of testing. For the weapon builds I'm recommending you guys, free format should cover it. The problem with the Gorgon is that it doesn't come with any polarity, so it is kind of a format heavy weapon. The accuracy is 16.7, which for this architecture type of a primary weapon is pretty standard for assault rifles, I wanna say. Critical chance is not that great at 15%, and the critical multiplier is half decent at 1.9x. We got a fire rate of 13.33 with a magazine of 90 and a slow reload of 3.0 seconds. But then again, the magazine is quite high. However, if you wanna build some fire rate on the weapon, I would recommend you work into that reload as well. The Riven disposition for the Gorgon family is going to be 4 out of 5, which means that the Rivens will be quite strong, and I have a fantastic Riven for you guys just a tad later. Status chance of 21%, which is nice, and we got impact, puncture, and slash on the weapon, the whole IPS enchilada. The problem is the impact is highest by a mile. Normally, sometimes on different weapons we try to get the slash up so we get those procs, especially on a status weapon. Unfortunately, even with Fang Fusillade, you will see that there's no way I'm getting my slash up. I believe that 5 Fang Fusillades wouldn't be enough. But in any case, let's start slapping on some mods, starting with quote-unquote mandatory mod, Serration 165% extra damage. Heavy caliber is a major no-no on the Gorgon Wraith. As you can see, it drops the accuracy to 11.1, which means that your multi-shot is firing way off your crosshairs. I don't recommend this one for the Gorgon Wraith. Next, we're gonna go to multi-shot, the best thing on everything, split chamber, 90% multi-shot, and of course vigilante armaments with 60% multi-shot, totaling 150% multi-shot, which means that with each and every shot, we're getting a guaranteed second bullet and a 50% chance at a third bullet. Next, of course, critical chance and critical damage. Is it worth? Yes, it is worth with a base crit chance of 15%, especially considering that it's a lot better, or will be a lot better than stacking on the same multiplier, something like more status chance. As you will see, the Gorgon Wraith will have a fantastic shot status chance, even without going overboard with status effects. So Point Strike, 150% critical chance, and Vital Sense with 120% critical damage. Next, we gotta go into elementals, and elementals should always be applied depending on circumstance. Where are you going? Who are you fighting? If we're talking about Corpus faction, since Fortuna should be coming up fairly soon, we gotta talk about shields, and shields take extra damage from magnetic damage, but a smarter idea would be to build gas or toxin, as that can bypass their shields entirely and deal damage to their health. Just bear in mind that sometimes underneath shields you're gonna find armor. Speaking of armor, the Grineer is still the toughest targets in Warframe, and they have 2 armor types, Alloy and Ferrite. Alloy is weak to radiation damage and Ferrite is weak to corrosive damage. Against Grineer more often than not, your safest bet is to build Corrosive, which is the elemental combo between electricity and toxin. So let's build some. Let's start off with electricity because this one is normally the more complicated one. Now you might not have high voltage by MR7. You can farm it however from the mission Nilgar on the planet Eris. You gotta find all the free secret caches, then upon extraction you got a 5% chance of getting high voltage or shell shock. You can't get both of them at the same time. You are gonna need both of them eventually for your primary builds, and they are worth getting. Unfortunately, the grind on the Elgar is rather grueling. After 50 plus runs, I simply threw in the towel and bought it from the trade chat. You're looking at about 40-ish plat currently on PC. Thankfully, the next one is a lot easier to obtain. Toxin, Malignant for 60% status chance and 60% Toxin. Farmable from Corrupted Vor in the Void, a lot easier to obtain. And from the trade chat, you're looking at about 10-ish plat, something like that. Now let's have a look at what we did to the weapon. We got a shot status chance of 78.8% and a corrosive value of 213. Let's keep in mind those IPS rules. Impact, puncture, and slash have a 4 times greater chance at proccing over elemental types such as corrosive. So when you're trying to figure out exactly what will proc first, remember to visually multiply IPS with 4. So in fact, my impact as a proc value is sitting around 600, a lot higher than corrosive. There's nothing I can do about that. I really want to get rid of the impact, and the only way to do so is to get a negative impact Riven. In any case, we still have one more mod slot. What should we plug into this one? This is the option slot. Plug into it whatever you feel comfortable with. For example, a lot of players enjoy to use punch through, and for good reason as well. You can go for something like Metal Auger with 2.1 meters worth of punch through, but a smarter idea, in my opinion, would be to go for Shred or Prime Shred, fire rate and punch through. Keep in mind that punch through means that your bullets will be going through your initial target and hitting whatever is behind them. So it's a form of AoE. Kind of, yeah, it's kind of a form of AoE. Next we can deal with the reload. If you really dislike that 3-second reload, you can go for something like Fast Hands or Prime Fast Hands. Or perhaps you can go for more fire rate and make the Gorgon completely annihilate any target that stands before it. Something like Spring Loaded Chamber, or perhaps you can go for something like Vile Acceleration. Let's talk about Vile Acceleration because this mod I feel is a little bit misunderstood. 90% fire rate, that is fantastic, but it takes away 15% of your damage, this being a corrupted mod. Don't know how to farm this one? Link in the cards right now. That minus 15% extra damage simply means, or better said, look at it as it would take 15% away from your Serration or your heavy caliber. So in fact, it's not that big of a deal. Keeping in mind the IPS rules and the fact that the Gorgon Wraith is a status weapon, I'm gonna amp up my corrosive value just so I can get more corrosive procs. Again, there's no way I'm beating impact, but I can raise its percent chance to proc. So I'm gonna go with Infected Clip or Stormbringer. Speaking of which, if you guys don't have high voltage, don't have the plat, don't want to farm it, etc, etc, you can go for something like this. You simply use the 90 mod instead of the 60-60 mod. And the difference in performance will be minute, so don't worry too much about it. Anyway, this is the base build I'm gonna be recommending to you guys, so let's give it a try. Level 120 Corrupted Heavy Gunner, which I feel is an excellent testing point. These are above Sortie 3 and way above Mastery Rank 7. Now let's see what the Gorgon Wraith can do to these high level targets. So as you can see, it does shred, but it does take a lot of bullets as well. And we have that reload of 3.0 seconds. But for an MR7 assault rifle, I feel this is pretty good. Of course, here we can talk about the Soma Prime if you so desire. Can't talk about the Prisma Gorgon because that one is a lot higher in Mastery Rank. If you're thinking about the Soma Prime, that one is fantastic as well, and I did a full review on it, link in the cards right now. The problem, well, not a problem, the difference with the Soma Prime is that that one shines with a bleed build rather than an elemental build, so it's gonna come down to the user. I'm a big fan of corrosive builds, and as you can see, the weapon can definitely perform and it can shred high level targets. Though the usability, well, the usability is not that bad. Again, the recoil is a little bit jumpy, but it does stabilize at full fire rate. The biggest problem remains that pesky reload of 3 seconds. 90 shots in a clip, again, that is pretty good, especially considering the multi-shot values we can get on this one. And this is base performance. This is what you can expect with normal everyday mods. Outside of high voltage, nothing is expensive, but of course you can replace it with the 90 mod. But of course that's not all. We can go to a bleed build. I know a lot of people simply enjoy to use Hunter Munitions, and Hunter Munitions is a fantastic mod. Let's have a look at Hunter Momo, shall we? This one will get you a 30% chance to apply slash on critical hit, but my crit chance is only 37.5. Does that mean that Hunter Munitions is completely worthless? Mostly. Let's test it, shall we? Seeing is believing after all. We're gonna slap on Hunter Munitions, forget about the Corrosive entirely, and what we can do with a slash build or a bleed build is build the elemental combo of Viral. Viral on a status proc will be reducing the maximum health of a target to 50% for the duration of the Viral effect. Not gonna go for the 60-60s, in this case we're gonna go for the 90 mods, simply because I'm not really all that interested in applying statuses through the weapon's innate status chance, simply because I'm not interested in reprocking impact all over again. The beauty of Viral is that it doesn't need 1,000 status apps like Corrosive does in order to be good. I just need a couple of them to keep the health down while my bleeds do the magic. So let's test it like this. Let's see what a weapon can do with Hunter Mumu at 37.5 crit chance. I'm not recommending this build, nope, the earlier build is the one I'm recommending, but for everybody that is curious, let's try it out. Something like this. I got Viral on the target, I got a lot of slashes on it, simply because I am simply putting a lot of bullets into my target, I'm not really proccing all that many slashes because of the low crit chance on the weapon, but I can take out a high level target with a build such as this. Yes, it is doable, it is workable, but from my point of view, it doesn't work as well as the Corrosive build. But you might say, well, Argon Scope, bro, we got a higher critical chance. Okay, very well, let's go for Argon Scope. Why the hell not? Let's drop Viral altogether, and we're gonna go with Argon Scope and Bladed Round so we get more critical chance and critical damage. So let's take these two off. Argon Scope currently still is kind of expensive. I believe it cost about 150 plat from the trade chat. 135% critical chance when aiming for 9 seconds. This is an on headshot effect, and your critical chance is going to be going to 57 point something. As for Bladed Rounds, this one is super cheap. You're looking at about 10 plat from the trade chat. It will give you critical damage 120%, which is the same amount as Vital Sense. So your crit multiplier is going to be going to 6.4, I think, something like that. A higher critical damage multiplier will mean that the slash's value will be higher as well. But you know what? I'm gonna do you one better. I'm gonna go into Arcanes and actually force that critical chance even higher up with, what's it called? Avenger, yes. Now, Arcane Avenger is a very powerful arcane simply because the bonus it provides is a bonus additive after. That means you're getting that 30% on top of what you already have. So your critical chance with the Wraith is going to 87 point something. If it can't bleed like this, then it's not gonna bleed with anything. I'm gonna be unpausing the AI so they can hit me and I can get my bonuses. Arcane Avenger proc, then we're gonna be going for headshots. Now, of course, we're gonna have to get a kill in order to see the full power of the build because of Bladed Rounds. A lot of slashes on the target, a lot more than before because of the higher critical chance, and I'm gonna hit a target till about 50-ish%. Something like that, then watch the slashes do the magic. The value of the slashes has gone up to 640, that is because of Bladed Rounds. Damn it, didn't die. So as you can see, a bleed build on the Gorgon Wraith is not exactly fantastic simply because of that low base critical chance. Does it work? Yeah, of course it works. Take a look at this. Definitely works, but I wouldn't really recommend it. I would suggest you guys stick to the elemental build I showcased initially. Okay, with all of that out of the way, why don't we go to a Riven setup, because I do love my Rivens, don't we all? And it's a Dispo 4, so the Rivens can be super powerful. Take a look at this one. Critical chance, critical damage, electricity, and minus 106% impact. That means that all the impact on the weapon is completely gone. It takes it completely off the proc chance, which is huge for any elemental build. Or perhaps you can make it now into a slasher and simply add more Fang Fusillade, etc, etc. I tried it, to be honest. Once again, it was a tad underwhelming. Now this Riven will cater a lot better to the Prisma version of the Gorgon than to this one, but as you can see, it will make one huge difference. Take a look at this. Fantastic. If before I needed around 50-ish bullets to take out one of these high-level targets, now I can take them out with 30 bullets. That is absolutely fantastic. Again, it's a Dispo 4, and from Dispo 4 you're gonna be getting some high values. The value of a Gorgon Riven, well, it's gonna depend on the seller, to be honest. I would recommend you get an unrolled one for something like 15, 20, come on, 30 plat, something like that, and head on over to Kuva and see if you get lucky. Because as you can see, it can make one hell of a difference. A lot of you are probably wondering which is better, the Wraith or the Prisma. That is, well, I'm just gonna say it, just go for the Prisma. From my point of view, is a whole lot better. Just keep in mind that for that one, you're gonna need MR14. Now one more thing before I go, pump up everything with Warframe buffs, and we're gonna be using the ever so lovely Lady Mirage Prime. Now let's check out the buffs. For an aura, you can use something like, okay, let's get rid of these since we don't need them in this particular case. You can go for Rifle Lamp, 27% extra damage to rifles. 27% is not a huge deal, however, so you can skip this one altogether. But if you're the kind of player that simply wants to get every last drop of damage, take a look at Rifle Lamp. When fighting Grenier, however, keep in mind that Corrosive Projection is guaranteed to give you better results, but Rifle Lamp will grant its benefit regardless of the target. When it comes to arcanes, we got a selection of 2 Arcane Rage on headshot, 10% chance for plus 120% damage to rifles for 16 seconds. Arcanes are a lot more impactful, and this one can be farmed from the third Eidolon down on Cetus. As for our second arcane, we can go for something like Arcane Acceleration or the mentioned Arcane Avenger from earlier. Let's go for Avenger. Acceleration will mean a much higher fire rate, 60% on critical hit. Now that is a big deal, so you're going to be able to delete your targets really quick. Just keep in mind that I did nothing to that pesky reload, so I'm going to be going with Avenger instead. So let's test the weapon to see if it's got any punch or not. Once again, unpause the AI and let him hit me. Oh, you're wondering probably why my Gorgon looks like this. Oh, this is the Conclave skin, guys. The best skin for the Gorgon, but you will have to grind it. So as you can see, the weapon now can absolutely wreck through these targets. My favorite magic trick of now you see them, now you don't. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. As for the Gorgon Wraith itself, it's a decent primary weapon. It's a decent assault rifle if you're somewhere around MR7, 8, something like that. Take a look at the Soma Prime as well, link in the cards right now. That one is a lot more catered to a slash bleed build if you enjoy that type of gameplay. But that's gonna do it for this review. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. If you have any feedback for me or would like to request a specific weapon review, by all means, leave it in the comment section down below. Now, I can't realistically promise you that it will be done by next time or even within a week because these reviews take quite a bit of time, but I will be reading through each and every comment. You can also find me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. But until next time, my friends, bye-bye.